1 minute to air. The live stream has started. Thirty seconds.
Good evening to everyone in the chamber and those of you watching at home. It is Monday, May 16th, 7 o'clock p.m., and I'd like to officially call to order this meeting of the Durham City Council for the purposes of faithfully conducting the business of the people of Durham. On tonight, our collective hearts are broken, along with people of goodwill all over this country. In the wake of an absolutely despicable, cowardly, disgusting act of racial hatred and murder. Tonight, this entire city stands in total solidarity with the residents of Buffalo, New York, to Mayor Brown up there, and to our colleagues on the City Council there in Buffalo. We send our condolences, but moreover, we send our strength and our power. Who knows what the root cause of evil and hatred and racism is? But whatever it is, we will remain undeterred and dissuaded to form a more perfect union. In this city tonight, let this tragedy cause us to redouble our efforts to carve out a shared space in which no matter what you look like, who you love, how much money you have, whether you pray or don't pray, it is not cause for insult, and certainly, let alone not cause for murder. We will be undeterred and dissuaded to create a more perfect union and a beloved community that Dr. King spoke of. So as we have a moment of silence tonight, I ask that you would join with me in solidarity with the people of Buffalo and the people of goodwill all around this country. Love will win every time, and hate will lose every time. Please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. We are all residents of Buffalo tonight. I ask if you would join me in rising, if you're able and it's not a hardship, to salute the flag and engage in our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Some of you may notice that I am not Elaine O'Neill, not even close. I'm Mark Anthony Middleton, Mayor Pro Tem, and I will be presiding at this meeting tonight in light of Her Honor's absence. After we call the roll, we will take care of matters of excused absences. So I'm going to ask Madam Clerk if you would please call the roll.
Mayor O'Neill is absent tonight. Mayor Pro Tem Middleton.
Present.
Councilmember Caballero.
Here.
Councilmember Freeman is also absent tonight. Councilmember Hyman.
Here.
Councilmember Johnson.
Here.
Councilmember Williams.
Here.
Thank you.
Colleagues, on tonight, it's obvious Mayor O'Neill is not here. Her Honor has been traveling, and she is going to need a an excused absence tonight. We don't have our electronic devices. There's some technical issues going on, so I'm going to ask the clerk to do a roll call vote when the time comes. But I'll ask now for a motion to grant an excused absence to the mayor.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Caballero, second by Councilmember Williams. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Pro Tem Middleton?
Aye.
Councilmember Caballero?
Aye.
Councilmember Hyman?
Aye.
Councilmember Johnson?
Aye.
And Councilmember Williams?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. That motion carries unanimously. Councilmember Freeman is also traveling today on business for the city. I'm going to ask that we entertain a motion to grant her an excused absence as well.
So moved.
Second.
Heard a motion from Councilmember Johnson and a second from Councilmember Caballero. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Pro Tem Middleton?
I vote aye.
Councilmember Caballero?
Aye.
Councilmember Hyman?
Aye.
Councilmember Johnson?
Aye.
Councilmember Williams?
Aye.
Thank you.
On tonight, we have two very special ceremonial items, and the first item will be read by Councilmember Williams, and it is a Memorial Day proclamation, and it'll be presented to Mr. Jonathan Crooms.
Test. This is good. Just tall. All right. A proclamation for Memorial Day here. Whereas Memorial Day each year serves as a solemn reminder of the scourge of what and its bitter aftermath of sorrow. And whereas on Memorial Day, America undertakes its solemn duty to remember the courageous men and women who made the ultimate sacrifice in defense of our nation and the cause of freedom around the world. And whereas on May 5th, 1968, Major General John A. Logan established Decoration Day as a time to decorate the graves of war dead with flowers. And whereas in 1971, the U.S. Congress declared Memorial Day a federal holiday and decreed that it be observed on the last Monday of each May. And whereas, as we honor those who have died in our nation's service so that war might end, we understand and appreciate the values of patriotism, citizenship, commitment, honor, and duty. And whereas, we must pledge to never forget the names of the 375 known soldiers, sailors, Marines, and airmen of Durham County who gave the ultimate sacrifice in defending our freedoms. Now, therefore, I, Elaine M. O'Neill, Mayor of the City of Durham, North Carolina, do hereby proclaim May 30th, 2022 as Memorial Day in Durham and urge all citizens to observe Memorial Day 2022 by displaying respect and gratitude for our veterans, both living and deceased, participating in remembrance ceremonies, and observing a moment of silence at 3 p.m. during the National Moment of Remembrance. Witness my hand and the corporate seal of the City of Durham, this, the 16th day of May 2022. Elaine O'Neill, Mayor of the City of Durham. Thank you. Mr. Crooms, we present this to you. Thank you. Put this up here for you.
Thank you.
Got it.
Good evening, Mayor O'Neill, Mayor Pro Tem Middleton, and fellow council members. My name is Jonathan Crooms, and I'm a Veteran Service Officer with Durham County Department of Veteran Services. Our office, which is composed of a team of 5, helps the nearly 15,000 veterans of Durham County, their dependents, and their survivors with accessing VA, state, and local veterans benefits. On behalf of our director, Lois Harvin Raven, my colleagues, and Durham's veterans, we thank you for adopting this Memorial Day proclamation. Memorial Day is a special holiday in which we remember those military personnel who have died at war while defending our nation. It is a time to remember that we enjoy our precious rights and liberties because of the sacrifices of a few, the men and women who serve in the United States military. It is also a time to remember the families of those killed, whose lives have been forever changed by the loss of their loved one, and we should never forget them or the grief that they carry. Durham County has 375 known military personnel who died while at war, dating from World War I to the present time of the Gulf War era. And we will honor them with a roll call at our annual Memorial Day program on Monday, May 30th at 9 a.m. on the steps of the old county courthouse, also known as County Administration Building Number 1. The program is one of my favorite programs that our office puts on because we invite the public to come up and read with us the names of each of these 375 individuals. We extend that invitation to each of you and to the entire community. We also have a special guest delivering our remarks of remembrance. Paul Cruz, who is the former director of the Durham VA Health System and the current executive director of the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs Mid-Atlantic Healthcare Network 6, will be our guest speaker. The old county courthouse is located at 200 East Main Street, and we will be there rain or shine. If anyone has any questions, they can contact our office at 919-560-8387. Thank you again for your ongoing commitment to Durham's veterans and their families. Thank you.
Mr. Crooms, thank you so much. Those wonderful words, and we indeed will remember those who gave the last full measure of their devotion, service to this country. Our next very outstanding proclamation for Period Poverty Awareness Week will be read by Council Member Caballero and presented to Michelle Ode, CEO and founder of Diaper Bank of North Carolina. Good to see you.
I am short, unlike Councilmember Williams. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for this honor. I'm very pleased to read the proclamation this evening on behalf of Period Poverty Awareness Week. Whereas approximately half of the population will have a period every month for decades of their lives, period supplies are a necessary product each month for millions of people across the country. And whereas national surveys and research studies report that 1 in 4 menstruating individuals struggle to secure enough period supplies to meet their needs each month due to a lack of income. This lack of period supplies, known as period poverty, can adversely affect the health and well-being of menstruators, and whereas national surveys also report that 1 in 5 women and girls miss work or school due to lacking a sufficient amount of period supplies, and whereas period poverty exacerbates the vicious cycle of poverty by forcing menstruators to withdraw from daily life, losing pay, or missing education opportunities, and whereas menstruators struggling with period poverty risk infections by using proxy products such as socks or toilet paper, or not changing products as often as needed, and whereas the people of Durham recognize that period poverty is a public health issue and addressing period poverty can lead to economic opportunity for Durham's residents and improved health for women and girls menstruators, thus ensuring all people have access to the basic necessities required to thrive and reach their full potential. And whereas Durham is proud to be home to trusted community-based organizations, including On the Spot, a program of the Diaper Bank of North Carolina that recognize the importance of period products in ensuring health and providing economic stability, and thus distribute period products through various channels. Now, therefore, I, Elaine M. O'Neill, Mayor of the City of Durham, North Carolina, do hereby proclaim the week of May 23rd through 29, 2022 as Period Poverty Awareness Week in Durham, and thank the period supply banks, their staff, volunteers, and donors for their service, and encourage the residents of Durham to donate generously to period supply banks, product drives, and those organizations that collect and distribute period products to those struggling with period poverty. Witness my hand in the corporate seal of the City of Durham, this, the 16th day of May, 2022, Elaine M. O'Neill. And I would now like to invite a very good friend and neighbor, Michelle Olds. Thank you.
I founded the Diaper Bank of North Carolina here in Durham from my kitchen table. We now provide nearly 4 million products statewide. We have 4 warehouses across the state, and we distribute over 500,000 period products across the state. Hundreds of thousands of those are coming into the Durham community to make sure that girls and menstruating individuals do not have to miss work or school just because they have their period. We believe that dignity is not a privilege and that people should not have to make a certain amount of money or be a part of a certain socioeconomic community to be able to provide the most basic needs for themselves and for their children and family. We also started the program on the spot here in Durham that is now statewide, and that provides period products in public schools. And we provide period products in all of Durham public schools, as well as homeless shelters and other community programs that are working with families living in poverty. We believe that period supplies are school supplies, and that students should not have to make the choice between going to school and having their period. And so this is something that I am most proud of being a part of Durham, because there are many communities across the state that are not willing to recognize the 1 in 4 menstruators that cannot afford hygiene items. And I commend you as a city council member and our mayor for announcing this and proclaiming it, because it's important that we acknowledge it and that we work together to alleviate this. So thank you very much.
Michelle, thank you so much, and please convey, perhaps in the entire city, to everybody at the Diaper Bank, our continued profound thanks for the absolutely heroic and vital work you've done and continue to do in our city. I miss coming to the breakfast. COVID has kind of shut our gatherings down, but absolutely fantastic work you do. And thank you so much. It's good to see you.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Really great.
Point of personal privilege, please. I have to say this on the record. I remember you during the McDougal Terrace crisis. You were busting sweat every day with us. Thank you.
Absolutely. 2 wonderful proclamations and ceremonial items tonight. Thank you, Councilmember Caballero, and thank you, Councilmember Williams, for presenting those for us. All right. We turn now to announcements by the council. I want to, on tonight, before I yield the lectern, say that this is a pretty special night for us, because 6 now becomes 7, although one of us isn't here. Tonight marks, I guess, kind of an unofficial end of the sojourn and travels of Councilmember Charlie Reese on our board, and we again thank him wherever he is in the world tonight for his great and distinguished service. In keeping faith with our responsibilities and our obligations under our charter and state law, this council engaged in the selection process after Councilmember Reese announced his resignation. And let me, again, on behalf of the entire city, thank those 20-some-odd individuals who stepped forward and presented themselves for service for no other reason than love for this city and concern for our city. We thank you. But alas, we had to make a decision, and that decision was made. And for her first time tonight, Dr. Monique Halsey-Hyman is Councilmember Halsey-Hyman, and she sits on the dais tonight. And I want to welcome you on behalf of Her Honor the Mayor and your colleagues in the entire city. Congratulate you on your assumption of leadership and service. And I'm going to yield to you for any comments you may have and any announcements you may have for the first time tonight.
So, thank you. Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Middleton, to my city council members and team, and to the Mayor O'Neill, who was not here. I just want to say thank you again for this opportunity. It is a humbling opportunity. And for no other reason that I seek this was for me to actually serve the people of Durham. And so I'm very excited to be here tonight. in my first day, as Mayor O'Neill always talks about boots on the ground, I had my boots on this morning. And I went to one of the first, the Coalition for Affordable Housing and Transit meeting this morning. And I just want to do a shout out, if I can. Can I do a shout out to them who are doing wonderful work around affordable housing? So it was a round table today, and it was really good for me to go as a new council member to kind of just see what people are doing grassroots in the community. So I want to say thank you to the work that they're doing, and I look forward to going to some more of those meetings. So for announcements, this month is National Foster Care Month. And so this year's theme of Foster Care Month is kind of strengthening the relatives and kinship. So there are according to Child Welfare Information Gateway, there are over 407,000 children and youth in foster care. 34% of those children live with relatives and kinship. So I just wanted to definitely announce that. And also, it's called Young Achievers of Tomorrow Month. And so Leaders of Tomorrow Month, it's also called Young Achievers Month, is to celebrate this year, every year in May, looking at the goals of leaders for children. And so what I'm gonna ask all of our Durham residents to do is to kind of pave the way, mentor, and not just this month, but throughout the whole year, but specifically this month, really kind of reach out to a youth and try to kind of talk to them about their goals and empower them to do some things that are outstanding in terms of their growth. So thank you again. And I don't know if I said the Durham residents, because that is really who I'm serving. I want to thank them also. So thank you, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, council member. Any other announcements from council members? Councilmember Johnson.
If Councilmember Caballero is not going to do the the election announcement, I'll take it. Just want to remind everybody, tomorrow is Election Day here in Durham. Polls are open from 6:30 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. across the city. If you need help finding your polling place, you can visit the Durham County Board of Elections website. And just want to encourage everybody to get out and vote tomorrow. And if you are voting absentee, tomorrow is also the deadline to mail your ballot. It has to be postmarked by tomorrow and received by the 20th. So just wanted to remind everybody, don't forget to get out and exercise your right to vote tomorrow.
Thank you, council member. Any other announcements? Councilmember Williams.
Yes, tomorrow is Election Day. Did she say that already? Okay, all right. So what she said, but you know, Hillside High School just celebrated 100 years of providing quality education in the city of Durham, one of the oldest historical high schools in North Carolina and in the nation. And I had the honor of speaking on behalf of Mayor O'Neill, who graduated from Hillside High School. And my first job at Shepherd Middle School was also assistant band director at Hillside High School. So it was like coming home again. I also had the honor of speaking to the students as the guest speaker at Hillside High School on Friday at the induction of the National Honor Society. I remember getting inducted in middle school and high school myself, so that was a bit nostalgic. But after the actual Honor Society program, I stayed behind to attend the Hillside High School band concert. And one thing we often talk about, and the phone calls that I get from the media, my friends in the media, about what's happening in Durham are the gunshots and the gun violence. But we aren't talking about the solutions that are available. Get your kids in the band. Get your children in the arts. Get your children in after-school programs. Get your children involved and engaged. Keep them busy, too busy to get in bad trouble. Busy enough to stay in good trouble. Get them engaged. And it was just really, really, really nostalgic being able to attend a band concert and see those students on the stage and not out in the streets. But Hillside Band used to be about 140 students when I was there, and now it's about 30. And those kids are somewhere. We've lost them. It's time to get them back. Southern High School, every high school in this county has a band program and several arts programs. Get our kids back engaged. Thank you.
Thank you, council member. Any other council members? All right, thank you, Councilmember Williams. You took off my need to say anything about Hillside, so go Hornets, congratulations to Hillside. I see Chief Zoldos in the chamber. I was gonna shout out to Durham Fire Department. Some of you may see a brand new fire engine from House 13 moving around the streets. I hope you don't see it because it's responding to a call at your house, but you just see it on the way to the gym or to the supermarket or something like that. But went to a wonderful pushing in ceremony. When a new engine comes online, they push it in to the firehouse, and was with a bunch of residents and a bunch of kids, and we got a chance to crawl all over that new fire engine that's incorporated all the new ergonomic kind of innovations. So firefighters aren't all 6'5" and strapping. Heroes come in all shapes and sizes. So we've got fire engines now that will accommodate all shapes and sizes of heroes and some new innovations. So I'm going to congratulate Durham Fire Department. I know we've got a few more engines that are going to be coming online as well. And I'm going to try and make as many pushing in ceremonies as I can. So shout out to the Durham Fire Department. Congratulations on the new equipment, and to our fleet management as well for keeping our vehicles state of the art and ready to respond when we need them here in the city. That's all I want to say with respect to announcements. And colleagues, if there's no other announcements, we're going to move forward. Now, at this time, I'm going to bid good evening to our city manager and recognize her for any priority items she may have.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, members of the Durham City Council. I do have one priority item for you this evening. It is agenda item number 5, interlocal agreement renewal for Durham City County Strategic Youth Initiatives. A presentation was made at the May 5th, 2022 City Council work session, and section number 1 of attachment number 2 was updated to include regular updates to the city and county managers or their respective designees, and at least annual updates to City Council and the Board of County Commissioners. That is all I have for you this evening.
Thank you, Madam Manager. Madam City Attorney, good evening, and I'll yield to you for any priority items.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem Middleton, members of the City Council. It's good to see you all. The City Attorney's Office has no priority items.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, good evening to you, and I'll yield to you for any priority items you may have this evening.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem and council members. The City Clerk's Office has no items this evening.
Thank you very much.
I think your microphone is still not, yeah, there we go.
At this time, I'm going to read into the record items on our consent agenda. Items on the consent agenda are items that this council has already had opportunity to do a deep dive on and to consider at a previous work session. All of these items can be passed with a single vote by members of the council. However, any item can be pulled by a member of the public or a member of the council for further consideration or commentary. At this time, I'm going to read our consent agenda items. Item number 1, Durham Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Commission appointments. Item number 2, Mayor's Hispanic Latino Committee appointment. Item number 3, Durham Historic Preservation Commission appointment. Item number 5, interlocal agreement renewal for Durham City County Strategic Youth Initiatives. Item number 9, Second Amendment to Contract 17430, supplemental agreement number 2 with Kimley Horn and Associates, Durham County Transit Plan. Item number 10, 2022 through 2025, Transportation On-Call Contract number 18920, Supplemental Service Agreement number 1, US 70 Access and Connectivity Study. Item number 11, award of a service contract to Taylor Meter Technologies for the Large Meter Inspection and Testing Services Project. Item number 12, proposed water and sewer rates for FY 2022 through 2023. Item number 13, contract agreement for services with Made in Durham. Item number 14, fiscal year 2022 through 23 agreement to fund economic development programs and services operated by Downtown Durham, Inc., using City of Durham funds. Item number 15, National League of Cities Hispanic Entrepreneurs Program Grant Award and Grant Project Ordinance. Item number 16, contract amendment for ST-317C Utility Locate Services. Item number 17, contract SW-86 Public Works Street Maintenance Repairs 2022. Item number 18, street and infrastructure acceptances. Item number 19, SW-89C Project Management and Inspection Services. That ends the reading of our consent items. On general business agenda tonight, we have the much anticipated fiscal year 2022-23 proposed budget, and fiscal year 2023 through 28 capital improvement plan, CIP, and a presentation will be made tonight by our city manager. Under general business agenda, public hearings, item number 21, consolidated annexation, Angier Avenue Apartments, and item number 22, FY 2023 stormwater rates. That is the end of our agenda for this evening. At this time, I'm going to entertain a motion from any council member for to receive our consent, to move our consent items.
So moved.
Second.
I heard a motion from Councilmember Williams and a second from Councilmember Caballero. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Pro Tem Middleton.
I vote aye.
Councilmember Caballero.
Aye.
Councilmember Hyman.
Aye.
Councilmember Johnson.
Aye.
And Councilmember Williams.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. That motion carries unanimously. At this time, I'm going to yield to our wonderful city manager for her presentation of the 2023 proposed budget and fiscal year 2023 through 28 capital improvement plan.
Good evening. Mayor O'Neill in her absence, Mayor Pro Tem Middleton and City Council members, staff, and residents of Durham. I am honored to present to you my proposed budget for 2022-2023 for the City of Durham. As your city manager, I am honored this evening to present to you my proposed budget for fiscal year 2022-2023. As you know, when I became city manager with more than 30 years of experience in local government, I was not a novice. And this evening, I am proud to say, serving as your city manager for more than a year has deepened my appreciation and my love for local government and for Durham. Over the past 2 years, faced with so many challenges, we as a city have risen to these challenges. Our community and employees have responded to every high and low. During the darkest days of the global pandemic, our business community pivoted to keep their businesses alive, especially restaurants, as they struggled to keep their businesses afloat and their employees working, while continuing to feed their customers and food insecure residents in our community. When restaurants were closed or had limited hours, we learned to order our dinners online, pick up and go, and even eat curbside when waiting for COVID to reduce its grip. And thanks to our good hygiene practices, wearing masks, our vaccines and boosters, we can now once again be seated in restaurants as we fellowship in person with our family, our friends, and our business associates. There have been other challenges in addition to the pandemic, but through it all, we dealt with them, we responded to them appropriately, and learned from them, most importantly, all while doing what we needed to do to provide services our residents expect. As with past budgets, I appreciate the guidance and support of our city's elected leaders, Mayor Elaine O'Neill, Mayor Pro Tem Mark Anthony Middleton, and Durham City Council members. I also want to welcome our newest City Council member, Dr. Monique Holsley Hyman, to her first city budget presentation. During this budget cycle, City Council and staff spent time working together, discussing and setting priorities at 2 separate retreats. We also heard from many residents who have made very clear their needs and their priorities for this budget. As I begin this evening with a reflection on this past year, I have to celebrate and say thank you to our more than 2,500 city employees. Each and every one of them has been the driving force in keeping high-quality services for our city's residents. You've probably heard it said, show me your budget and I'll show you what you value. Well, this year, I want to make it very clear that I value our employees, not just for their input and work in helping to shape this budget proposal, but for what they do every day in service to the residents of Durham. Here are just a few of the faces who provide city services. Just take a look at them. Many of whom worked on the front lines during COVID-19, sworn police and fire personnel, providing essential public safety services, street maintenance employees, keeping our streets repaired, water management employees, ensuring high-quality drinking water, and Durham Parks and Recreation employees who always remind us to play more. Many have been working behind desks, tethered to a phone or a computer, or even sitting behind steering wheels for most of their workday or work night. As they perform their jobs, I could go on and on, but you get the picture. Throughout this presentation, you will see how city employees make a difference every day. At the same time, I will show how my proposed fiscal year 2022-23 budget supports many vital needs of our community, from addressing public safety, including police, fire, emergency communications, and community safety, to improving and maintaining our city property like streets, recreation centers, green spaces, and infrastructure to continue to provide good and safe drinking water. This budget also supports other important efforts, including helping to provide affordable housing and services for Durham residents who need it most, supporting Durham's youth through paid career exploration opportunities and positive recreation and social experiences and activities, as well as creating equitable opportunities for shared prosperity for Durham businesses and residents. Let's take a look at fiscal year 22-23 by the numbers. The total proposed budget for fiscal year 22-23 is $568.9 million, compared to $529.7 million for the 2021-22 budget, an increase of $39.2 million, and includes the city's general fund as well as other funds that are highlighted here that you will hear more about during this presentation. The proposed general fund budget, which covers core services, is $255.5 million and represents a $14.9 million increase compared to fiscal year 21-22 of $240.7 million. The general fund supports many of the services that the city provides, such as maintaining city streets, our public safety, including our police, fire, community safety, emergency communications, and parks and recreation. The proposed property tax rate is 55.77 cents per 100 of assessed value, which is 0.6 cent above the fiscal year 21-22 rate of 55.17 cents. The tax rate increase of 0.6 cent is a $2.4 million increase to the general fund to help support pay increases for general employees, pay raises, and other funds remain the same as last year. This tax increase means that the owner of a house valued at $235,133, which is the median home taxable value in Durham, will receive a city tax bill of about $1,311 next year, or the equivalent of about $109 per month. Let's talk about the city's primary sources of revenue, which are property and sales taxes. As you can see here, a penny on the tax rate generates about $4 million. And you can see that real property value has grown in Durham. While unstable economic conditions persist, Durham has continued to experience revenue growth throughout this global pandemic and instability in the economy overall. Driven by this growth, Durham's economy over the past year has been strong, resulting in a better than projected rise in revenue. Sales tax is projected to increase more than 13% for 22-23 compared to the previous year's budget. We have budgeted $83.5 million, which is projected to generate an additional $10.2 million as compared to last year's budget, reflecting a strong and sustained economic recovery. Other sources of revenue are projected to increase as well, such as occupancy tax and state shared revenues. While we remain cautiously optimistic about the city's economy and its impact on city finances, we do recognize that the positive financial indicators in our economy do not mean every resident in Durham is benefiting from these positive indicators. We see and hear from residents who continue to need housing they can afford and jobs earning family-sustaining wages. And we will continue to hear these voices and see these faces as we lead in the creation of a more equitable city for all who call Durham home. To cover increasing operational costs, improve aging water lines, and support other capital needs, we're proposing a modest increase to water and stormwater rates. These rate changes were discussed at City Council's last work session and are on tonight's agenda for consideration. These new rates include an average rate increase of 3.9% for water and a 93-cent increase per month for stormwater effective July 1st. Also, you will see here that increases which were delayed during the throes of the pandemic are now updated and proposed for implementation to support the city's parking fund. The parking fund continues to operate at a loss, and these rate increases are proposed to help cover debt service on parking structures and equipment. Proposed general fund expenditures include increases for personnel costs, including new positions, restoration of merit pay increases, and the cost of providing excellent and competitive employee benefits. Operating expenditures are projected to increase by a little over 6%, which amounts to about $2.6 million. Due to consistent, effective management of the city's resources and the City Council's policy on the use of fund balance or savings, the city has access to a strong fund balance. I am proposing a $7.5 million appropriation from fund balance for the following one-time costs that are listed here. In addition to allocating $4 million for street maintenance and $2.1 million for departmental projects, I'd like to note that I am proposing transferring $900,000 to complete the city's $1 million commitment to fund the Safety and Wellness Task Force, and finally, $500,000 to acquire land to expand existing open space and trails. This is a good time to let you know that the City of Durham, your government, is only one of 35 cities in the country that have received a AAA rating from all three rating agencies: Moody's, Standard & Poor's, and Fitch. What this means is that the city can borrow money or issue bonds for major projects at lower interest rates, saving taxpayers dollars. Our complete budget document covers every detail of our revenue and spending for the upcoming fiscal year. This includes our core municipal services, such as solid waste, roads, water, parks, and public safety, as well as other projects and initiatives that further our strategic goals. We have used a strategic plan developed with input from our employees, our residents, our elected officials, and other key stakeholders to guide our budget priorities. In tonight's presentation, I will focus on several key priority areas for our organization and community. Here are the city's top priorities that are featured in this year's budget. They are employee compensation, public safety, shared prosperity, and our capital improvement plan. Because we can't cover every aspect of the budget tonight, I encourage you to review the complete proposed budget that is now available on our website at durhamnc.gov/budget. Our employees are essential if we are to implement the vision set forth in this budget, and we want to show these dedicated employees that we value their work and contributions to our organization and the community. These employees have worked tirelessly throughout the pandemic, doing the critical work that keeps our city running, from emergency response to water and sewer management to solid waste collection and more. Let's talk about employee compensation. Durham has not been immune to what has been called the Great Resignation. Like many cities across the country, we've seen our vacancy rate increase considerably as employees decide to retire, pursue other interests, or remove themselves completely from the job market, either temporarily or permanently, for various reasons. To move forward as a city, taking care of city employees must be a high priority. Public as well as private sector employers are having to improve employee compensation to focus on the 3 R's: recruitment, retaining, and rewarding employees. Last year, due to unknowns resulting from the impact of COVID, city employees received minimal market adjustments and one-time bonuses. This year, to reward and fairly compensate city employees, I am proposing a market adjustment of 3% for employees. Additionally, I am proposing restoring the pay-for-performance merit system, which amounts to an additional 4 to 6% for general employees. If you'll recall, earlier this year, adjustments were made for the city's police and fire employees who are sworn. In January, sworn police received a 15% market pay increase, while sworn fire personnel received the 14.7% market pay increase. While their market increases have already taken place, the 22-23 budget accounts for a full year cost of these market adjustments and a return to pay for performance merit budgeted at 5%. All proposed pay increases are supported by the proposed tax increase amounting to $2.4 million. The Durham minimum livable wage will also be adjusted from its current $16.92 per hour to $17.60 per hour, effective July 1st. To meet the growing needs of our organization and the community, this proposed budget also includes the addition of 60 new full-time employee positions in several areas. Some of the departments that must grow to continue to adequately support the needs of the community and support other programs include the ones listed on this slide. Of note, 3 new trainers and 2 firefighters in the fire department are included, 6 additional transportation employees, which will be covered later, 5 community development positions supported by the dedicated housing fund to support program activities and project delivery, including the homeless services team, to manage their growing workload as the city's lead agency for the Durham County Continuum of Care. 2 additional planning positions are proposed, 7 community safety employees to support their pilot programs that are scheduled to get underway this year, and 14 water management operational positions are included in this budget proposal. I want to recognize and thank all our essential public safety employees who work around the clock to keep us safe every day, including throughout this pandemic. The police department, fire department, and emergency communications 911 center. This is not a small task. It takes great strength and courage to step up day in and day out to protect and serve our community, and I commend all of you for rising to this challenge during these very difficult times. One of the highest priority areas we think about and we work on daily is how best to keep all of our residents of this city safe and well. It is no secret that there's great concern about violent crime in Durham, like many other cities in America. At the same time, there are concerns about the history of policing in our country and the impact on people of color. Durham has been a leader in finding new, equitable, and innovative ways to keep our community safe and well. We continue to lead in public safety reform. We work collaboratively across multiple public safety agencies daily to do this work and improve outcomes for all of our residents in Durham. The Community Safety Department continues to make progress to deploy alternative response teams to select calls for service in our community. 3 of the pilots, crisis call diversion, the community response teams, and care navigation are set to launch in late June. Our crisis call diversion pilot will embed clinicians in the 911 center to assess the needs of callers who might have behavioral health concerns. The community response teams will respond to calls for behavioral health needs and other quality of life issues, while the care navigators will follow up with persons who've been assisted to connect them to community-based services they need. Currently, 9 of the department's 13 full-time positions are filled, and my budget proposes adding 7 new positions to support more robust pilots of these programs over the next year, along with funding for vehicles and equipment needed to transport those in crisis to appropriate care facilities or organizations as needed. Funding for 3 fire trainers and 2 firefighters are also included in this budget. And in the police department, I am including funding for a 1-year pilot of the Shot Spotter program to locate and address gunfire in the city. Also, the police department will be reclassifying 2 positions to create 2 new latent print examiner positions to enhance their investigative capabilities. Creating and promoting strategies and programs to ensure that all of the city's residents share in Durham's prosperity continues to be a top priority for the city. The city continues to make progress in our efforts to provide affordable housing. My proposed budget of $13.6 million is a 6.77% increase over the fiscal year 21-22 budget of $12.7 million. Funded with a tax appropriation of 3.38 cents of the property tax, 2 cents totaling approximately $8 million is included for affordable housing projects and services, and 1.38 cents generating $5.4 million will be used to pay debt service for the $95 million affordable housing bond. This year's budget also includes $500,000 for the Durham County Long-Time Homeowner Tax Grant Program. Forever Home Durham is our $160 million program creating affordable opportunities for renters and homeowners. Through new construction, property repairs, and essential housing services, we are building a more inclusive and livable community. Over the next several years, the $95 million affordable housing bond, combined with local and federal funding, will be used to invest a total of $160 million to reach affordable housing goals established for the program. On the slide, you can see our progress through the numbers. The last 2 years opened everyone's eyes to the necessity of having access to the internet. It is absolutely vital that equitable access is available. Let me give you some idea of how important it is at every level. First, globally, the United Nations passed a resolution that declared that access to the internet should be considered a human right. If you don't believe me, just Google it. At the national level, just last week, President Biden took a major historic step to provide internet access to millions by covering the cost of the service. Now some 20 leading internet providers will offer eligible households high-speed internet for no more than $30 per month. You can find out if you qualify by visiting acpbenefit.org. Also, Governor Roy Cooper joined U.S. Commerce Secretary Gina Raimondo at Camden Institute right here in Durham last week to announce the Biden-Harris $45 billion investment in affordable, reliable, high-speed internet with significant amounts going to states, including North Carolina. While this will make a huge dent in providing access to so many, I want you to know that providing internet service to all Durham residents is a priority for this city. Over the past 2 years, the City of Durham, in partnership with Duke University, have been hard at work to provide free, high-speed internet to 8 housing authority communities, Durham Housing Authority communities. I am proud to let you know this evening that this project is almost complete. Now residents of those communities, particularly Durham Public Schools students, will be able to attend school and work remotely when needed, and CARES Act funded much of this project. To continue to address needs right here in Durham, the city, along with many other local organizations, participated in a multi-year initiative aimed at ensuring all Durham residents have access to and understand how to use technology, mainly the internet. To help put that plan into action, I am proposing funding for a digital inclusion program manager in this year's budget. 2 other important ways the city is creating opportunities for shared prosperity are through our Durham YouthWorks program and by supporting local businesses. Our Durham YouthWorks program continues to be a way to engage youth, to give them skills that they'll need to enter the job market. I want to make sure that every teenager who wants a summer job experience can have one. I am proposing an additional $400,000 to support this possibly life-changing program. Local businesses and entrepreneurs continue to look to the city for advice as they get started, as they recover from the impact of COVID-19. Funding is being provided for 3 programs: the Momentum 360 Financial Academy Training Program, to provide coaching, mentoring, and training that will advise businesses as they recover from the impact of COVID-19 shutdowns. This program will provide multimodal coaching, mentoring, and education training targeted toward entrepreneurial support. The Hispanic Ecosystem and Outreach Program, partially supported by a National League of Cities grant, is aimed at developing a marketing, outreach, and technical assistance program that specifically targets Hispanic entrepreneurs. And to help continue Durham's legacy businesses, I am funding a program to retain, expand, and transition Durham's longstanding small women and minority-owned businesses. The program includes succession planning and targeted technical assistance. We know that being able to travel is important, whether it is to your job, doctor appointments, or to get groceries. I am pleased to share that Go Durham will continue fare-free service through June 30th, 2023. Continued federal support of about $12 million through the American Rescue Plan has provided gap funding throughout the pandemic for transit operations. And this support, along with state funding of $3.6 million, is expected to continue this upcoming fiscal year. Additionally, The city has already received federal awards this year, including awards to improve Durham Station for the Rails to Trails project and the Rails to Trails project, totaling about $20 million. The city is continuing to prepare for and to apply for more grants to improve transit in Durham. As you saw earlier, 3.75 cents of the tax rate combined with grant and other funding, all totaling nearly $41 million, will support core transit services in the coming year. This includes expanding service and improving on-time arrival and route frequencies, which are all part of the short-term transit plan. I am proposing 6 additional FTEs primarily to work on and manage capital infrastructure projects and programs. In addition to adopting the proposed budget, City Council will also soon adopt our capital improvement plan, which guides our long-term capital projects such as infrastructure and facilities. While the proposed CIP update will be presented during the upcoming budget work sessions, some of the new proposed capital projects are noted on the next 3 slides. The capital improvement budget includes over $145 million for new projects and to complete existing ones. This funding includes $28.7 million for important general government capital needs. These projects were prioritized using an equity lens or screening questions to determine who would benefit from the improvement, who may be burdened from the improvement, and the assessment also looks at unintended outcomes of the proposed projects. Here's a short summary of our enterprise capital projects, including our water and sewer, our stormwater, and our solid waste projects. I am also proposing that we continue our capital commitments for our fleet replacement program and for street maintenance and repaving. In addition to these projects, the city is continuing our commitment to green and equitable infrastructure. A half-cent tax generating approximately $2 million a year is included in this budget for projects important to neighborhoods that have historically received fewer resources or investment to make them better. This money will be added to funding already set aside from last year's budget to allow the city to borrow more money for these important projects after we get ideas and input from those communities. We will present more information about our green and equitable infrastructure plan to the City Council during our budget briefing on May 25th. Now that I presented highlights from the proposed budget, it's time for our elected leadership and our community members to take a closer look. City Council and staff will review the details at next week's budget work sessions on May 25th and May 26th, beginning at 9 a.m. each day, right here in council chambers. In addition to being open to the public to attend in person, they will also be live streamed to Durham Television Network and to our YouTube channel to enable as many people as possible to watch our departmental budget presentations. Our residents are encouraged to share their thoughts at our budget public hearing, which will take place during the June 6th City Council meeting beginning at 7 p.m. We remain committed to transparency in the budget, as well as in our total operations. Therefore, the complete proposed budget is now available for your review on the city's website at durhamnc.gov/budget. We continue to be a destination of choice for new residents. While we acknowledge our challenges as a community, Durham is still a dynamic city. In fact, tomorrow, U.S. News and World Report will release its best places to live for 2022-2023. And I was told that the Durham-Raleigh metro area has earned a top placement among the country's 150 largest metro areas based on how well we meet residents' expectations for where to live based on affordability, the quality of life, and desirability. I am not surprised that so many consider Durham a best place to live. There are many reasons that we all love living here. We know we are nowhere near perfect, but by working together, government, large and small businesses, nonprofit organizations, educational institutions, and faith-based organizations, legacy residents, and those brand new to our community, we can continue to make this city the best that it can be. You can learn more about my proposed budget and city operations by following the city on our social media channels. We work hard to communicate what we're doing on these pages and want to keep you informed on our work and our progress on these channels. I'd like to thank city departments for their contributions to the fiscal year 22-23 proposed budget. It could not have been done without you and your heart for public service. Thanks to the Budget and Management Services Department under the leadership of Director John Allure for not missing a step despite operating with fewer staff than normal. Finally, thank you, Mayor, who's in her absence, and Mayor Pro Tem and City Council for your leadership on behalf of the residents of our great city. Thank you.
Hear, hear. Madam Manager, on behalf of the residents of our great city, let me thank you and your entire team for this wonderful piece of work, this work product that we now look forward to sinking our teeth in to at our next work sessions. And I want to make sure that I stress that all of you watching at home in the chamber that you come on out and make your voices heard either here in the chamber or virtually on June 6th at the public hearing. We know we'll be getting emails from you. We look forward to them, but this is a wonderful document for us to have conversations about who we are and where we're going as a city. So my congratulations to you, Madam Manager, and I know I look forward, I know I speak for my colleagues when I say we look forward to digging in and ultimately adopting a budget that works for all of us here in Durham. Congratulations. Friends, we're going to break for 5 minutes. It's 8:05. I'm going to recess us until, it's 8:06. I'm going to recess us until 8:11, and then we'll come back and discharge the matters that we have before us. We're in recess to 8:11.
But I know that you're exploring the possibility of actually starting something called social districts in downtown. Talk about that. Tell me what that is and what's the advantage.
So the social district program was something that was passed by the General Assembly late last year. It is a program that allows cities to designate areas with a specific boundary as social districts. And within those social districts, individuals can have open container of alcohol. So you basically can go into an establishment and sit down, have a beer or have some wine. And then if you want to leave that establishment, then you can put that in a to-go cup that is marketed as being of that social district and what the boundaries are, and then you can move throughout that district with an open container.
As you're making your plans for the summer, you'll want to be sure and save 2 Saturday evenings each month for the Rock the Park concert and movie series. The series takes place in parks throughout the city and features 1 concert and 1 movie each month between June and August. Both activities are free and open to the public. Food vendors will also be on site and food will be available for purchase. The concerts will take place on Saturday, June 11th at Forest Hills Park, July 9th at Rock Quarry Park, and August 6th at Southern Boundaries Park. The movies on Saturday, June 25th, July 23rd, and August 20th will all take place at Durham Central Park. Bringing your own blankets and lawn chairs is encouraged, but alcohol and smoking are not allowed. More information about this summer's Rock the Park series can be found at dprplaymore.org/318 and by following Durham Parks and Recreation on social media.
Have you experienced changes in Durham that negatively affect your everyday life? Many in the community have. The City and County of Durham want to correct those issues and ensure the future changes work for the entire community. They are listening and want to hear your ideas for making Durham a place where everyone thrives. That's why the City and County of Durham are inviting all members of the Durham community to take part in the creation of the new comprehensive plan, which will determine the vision for growing Durham over the next 30 years. This collaboration between the City and County of Durham and the Durham community is the result of the new Engage Durham initiative, which seeks to ensure that all community stakeholders are involved in the shaping of city and county projects. Help build a Durham that works for everyone.
Here's some tips to ensure that your garbage and recycling gets picked up. 1. Your cart should be put out for collection before 6 a.m. on your collection day. 2. Your cart should be at least 3 feet from all other objects such as mailboxes, telephone poles, fire hydrants, trees, and other carts. 3. Your cart should be no more than 3 feet from the curb. 4. No vehicles should be blocking your carts. The mechanical arms on our trucks need direct access to your carts and cannot reach around vehicles. To find more information about garbage and recycling pickups, go to this web address.
I know, right?
I didn't want to drink any more caffeine because then I won't sleep tonight.
Oh, does it affect you?
After about 3, I try not to.
Friends, if the chamber will be in order, it's 8:11. Thank you. It's 8:11. We will resume with the business of the council. Again, I want to thank City Manager Page for a wonderful presentation of her proposed budget. At this time, we turn now to general business public hearings. Item number 21. This is a consolidated annexation case, Angier Avenue Apartments. And at this time, I will yield to the staff.
Yes, it is. Okay, great. Thank you. Michael Stock with the Planning Department. Thank you. Before I begin, I'd like to note that all required notifications for the Planning Department public hearing items have taken place and are on file for review. BDG 210004 and Z 210005, which is a consolidated item before you, is a voluntary annexation request for non-contiguous annexation and a zoning map change request for 4 parcels located at 3723, 3729, and 3685 Angier Avenue and a portion of 3801 Angier Avenue. So this is a little bit unique. So of the 4 parcels, the annexation petition applies to 2 parcels, parcel 163009, which is 3729 Angier Avenue, and a portion of 3801 Angier Avenue. The 2 other parcels, 3723 Angier and 3685 Angier, are already within the city limits. So the rezoning request straddles those 4 parcels to a portion of it is in the county, and thus the annexation request. The zoning map change is a request for that entire site from residential suburban 20 or RS20 and residential suburban multifamily with a development plan RSMD to residential suburban multifamily new development plan to allow for 521 apartments. The portions of the site currently in the county are zoned RSMD, and the portions already within the city jurisdiction are zoned RS20 and RSMD. The site is also within the Falls Jordan District B watershed overlay, which is the FJB watershed overlay, but there's no change proposed for that overlay. The properties are currently designated low, medium density residential and commercial on the future land use map of the comprehensive plan. The proposed RSMD zoning is inconsistent with the designated future land use designation. If the proposed zoning is approved, staff recommends a change to the future land use designation to medium high density residential. The Planning Commission failed to recommend approval by a vote of 1 to 10 at their February 8th, 2022 meeting. And at the Planning Commission meeting, the applicant added commitments for donations to the Dedicated Housing Fund and to Durham Public Schools. Subsequent to that hearing, the applicant will read into the record a change to the proffer to provide actual affordable units instead of a monetary donation to the fund. The donation to DPS is proposed to remain. As a reminder, 3 actions are requested at this time. First is an action to consider adoption of an ordinance annexing Angier Avenue Apartments into the city of Durham, effective June 30th, 2022, and to authorize the city manager to enter into a utility extension agreement with Kelly Development Company, LLC. And if that passes, then to consider adoption of the zoning map change and adoption of the appropriate statement of consistency. The applicant is available to answer any questions, and thank you very much.
Michael, thank you so much. Good evening. It's good to see you.
Thank you.
I'm going to declare this public hearing open, but before I go to any proponents or opponents, I'm going to see if I'd like to see if any of my fellow council members have any questions for staff. I have a quick question. This is somewhat of a direct translation because part of it.
None of it is actually. The current RSMD zoning has a different development plan than what is currently being proposed. So although it's going to RSMD, they are 2 different, it would wind up being a different development plan and thus a different zoning district in and of itself, if approved. Yeah.
And that was my second question. Is there a development plan that this will supersede?
Yes, it would supersede any the current development plan that's on the site now would go away if the zoning is approved tonight.
Got you. And that would be Z0545, the attachment V current Z0545.
Correct.
Correct. All right. That's all I have for now. Colleagues, anyone else? Questions? All right, this is a public hearing. I understand that Mr. Johnson, the proponent, is here. Is he in chamber or virtual? Hey, how are you? I'm sorry. Mr. Johnson, how much time do you anticipate needing for your case?
10 minutes or so, but I guess it depends upon, questions from council.
Sure, I'll put 10 minutes on the clock. If you don't exhaust all of it, we'll keep it in reserve for you if you want to respond to any.
I don't want to belabor any point, so I'll make it as quick
Floor is
as
yours.
I can. I've been in your position before. I've been a council member, so I know how that is.
Oh, well, welcome. You have 10 minutes.
Thank you very much. My name is Tom Johnson. I'm an attorney with the law firm of Williams, Mullin & Riley, here on behalf of Bonaventure, who is the actual applicant for this rezoning request. J.P. Highland with Bonaventure is here in the audience with me here tonight. He made the trip down from the D.C. area to be here for the meeting tonight. Bonaventure is an apartment developer. I did have, you have that slideshow, Mike? If not, I can just go through it.
I can put it up. I can put it up on Zoom if you'd like. Give me 1 moment. Is that visible?
That's it, yeah. Thank you. If I go to the next slide, Mike, Bonaventure is a full-service real estate development investment firm founded in 1999. They're a multifamily developer and transaction specialist and a top 20 multifamily development pipeline. They do residential sites in Virginia, Maryland, Alabama, Georgia, North Carolina, and South Carolina. And these numbers, of course, change all the time, but approximately $2.25 billion in transactions, $800 million in HUD loans, and 6,000 residential units owned. Bonaventure focuses on long-term investments in the communities where it develops, meaning that it is a long-term holder of these developments. Next slide, Mike. they're a fully integrated firm with investment services, development, property management, design, construction, and shared services. And I will point out, not only is Bonaventure coming forward with this project, but is committed to Durham and actually has another application pending in the pipeline for additional housing in Durham. So I did want to make you aware of that. So they're a long-term holder and they're committed to the community of Durham. Currently have a project coming out of the ground in the Cary area, so they are committed to this region of the state, and particularly Durham. As part of the process in going through this approval, we of course had the required neighborhood meeting. We had several people attend. It was virtual during these times of COVID. We had no objection to the project. The residents were primarily concerned about getting sewer to their area, this area of Durham off Angier Avenue. And this project does provide a sewer extension into this area that doesn't currently exist. We had a second neighborhood meeting as well because we made some changes to the plan and staff recommended that we have that additional meeting, which we did. And again, had same participants, and they were again concerned about sewer primarily for their residents in the area, but had no objection to the multifamily coming into this location. We've had other comment. Mr. Highlands talked to them. I've had additional contact with these individuals throughout the process. And again, it's been the same discussion about how sewer going to come, and we've shown them where the sewer extension would occur as part of the project. Yes, as was read into the record, we did not get a favorable recommendation from the Planning Commission, but we heard them and we listened to them. So the adjustment that Mr. Stock mentioned was changing from a monetary contribution to the Affordable Housing Fund to actual affordable units, which make a difference. And as part of that too, the other part we kept hearing was, we don't want a bunch of one-bedroom units or distinguishable units if they're affordable. We want affordable units for families, more than one bedroom, and that sort of thing. So we heard that as well. So I wanted to read into the record the additional condition that we added to address affordable housing. And if I may go ahead and read that into the record. 10% of the apartment units shall be designated as affordable housing dwelling units, affordable units, as defined in section 17.3 of the Durham Unified Development Ordinance for rental units, including compliance procedures contained in the definition. The affordable units shall be dispersed throughout different buildings and shall not be distinguishable from market rate units through the location, grouping, unit size, interior finishes, or exterior design. Phase 1 will have 31 affordable units, and Phase 1 has 306 total units. It will have 31 affordable units consisting of 6 one-bedroom units, 19 two-bedroom units, and 6 three-bedroom units. Phase 2 will have 22 affordable units, but the mix will be determined based upon market demand and the experience from Phase 1 in terms of what's needed. There will be no city subsidies. No city subsidies shall be provided for these affordable units that are being built. They're being built at Bonaventure's expense. And also, Bonaventure will accept housing choice vouchers as part of it, in addition to the affordable units that are being created. This project has a lot of commitments associated with it. If you could go, well, let me go first to this. Transportation-wise, this slide shows, and this is from the TIA, traffic will be dispersed evenly pretty much with this project. There are 5 driveways, so not just one driveway going in and out, there are actually 5. There will be an extension of Laurel Road with dedication of right-of-way and construction by Bonaventure at their expense, which connects to Highway 70. There is a DOT project for an overpass for Glover Road at this location that the right-of-way for part of that project is being donated by this developer to allow for that project to be done. And that's an advantage this project has. Locationally, it is where that overpass is going, which is important. So the distribution also will go down towards South Miami Boulevard as well, go north to Pleasant Drive, go east to Laurel Drive, and then go west via Glover Road. So there is a pretty even percentage-wise distribution of traffic related to this project. Go to the next slide if you could, Mike. The other advantage of this project is it's very centrally located. It's located such that it has easy access to Highway 70, has easy access to the East End connector to the Durham Freeway, and points south toward RTP for those that are working in RTP. And we already know, and as this map shows, the large employers that are in this area that would have easy access for housing at this location. But in addition to that, there are a lot of commercial establishments that are nearby as well. What other improvements, what other conditions? And Mike, if you could go to the next slide, if you don't mind. So in addition to the affordable housing condition, we have other commitments that we have made and are contained in the development plan. There's the contribution to the Durham Public Schools, which remained. We put that on at the Planning Commission level, and that will continue. There will be a transit stop at this location that will be funded by the developer and built to the City of Durham, Go Durham standards. There's a greenway trail that will traverse the property, part of the Glover Road Greenway Trail project that's on the city's plan. It will go through that along one of the streams through the project. There was some mention in some of it that this is a 35-acre project, I think, at the Planning Commission with these units, so it's a pretty big piece of land, but it's really not. There are two streams that go through the property. With the stream buffers, there's really not as much land as it would be at first blush. So I did want to make that aware, and the Greenway Trail is part of that in using that buffer, and that will be constructed at the expense of the developer. In addition to the road right-of-way dedications and construction that I originally mentioned, there's several improvements in conjunction with NCDOT and the City of Durham Transportation that will be done. One, at Angier Avenue and Rutan Road, there will be the installation of a traffic signal should the warrants be met by NCDOT. At Site Driveway 1, there are ingress-egress lanes and a westbound right turn lane on Angier Avenue and an exclusive left turn lane on Angier Avenue at Site Driveway 1. Site Driveway 2, again, ingress and egress lanes at Site Driveway 2 with the appropriate storage and taper. At Rutan Road and the project at Site Drive 3, it will be limited to right in, right out, which is requested by Durham Transportation, which we are meeting, and including constructing a concrete median to DOT standards consistent with the right in, right out requirement. And Laurel Drive extension, as I mentioned, it goes directly out to Highway 70 and it will be extended and paved. It will end in a cul-de-sac because of the Glover Road project, but that will be constructed as well. Earlier, it was asked about the development plan and how that worked. It was originally another development plan on this site, and it's a little convoluted when you look at some of the zoning changes on here, and I did want to explain those. It says in part of it that we're changing some CG zoning. That was because the prior development plan, for some reason, didn't follow the property line, and so we're doing part of a parcel that's currently zoned CG to help staff address that development plan and clean it up. That's why we're doing that little corner of CG, is to clean up the old development plan and put a new development plan in place. That's probably going to end up being open space related to the other.
Madam Clerk, you add another 10 minutes to the clock, please. You can proceed.
I'm sorry.
No, just go ahead.
Attorneys can be long-winded. I'm trying to keep it short.
No.
But that's a commercially zoned piece of property that the landowner who sold this property to Bonaventure is retaining for commercial development, which makes sense with the residential going in there and the commercial development being there. And in all likelihood, that small sliver of that property that's being rezoned as part of this development plan is slated to be open space, so it'll likely just be open space tree save area to support that commercial development is what it will end up being. And obviously, ultimately, that one will be annexed into the city as well. And it was a little different on this one, as was mentioned. Part of this property was already annexed into the city. We're just annexing the balance, which is kind of different, kind of strange, but we're, again, cleaning that up. As mentioned in the manager's report, this is a positive revenue generator for the city with this annexation. The revenue generated will far exceed the expense for services to this project. In addition, I did have 2 letters distributed to you. A big part of what we do for the community is We bring residents to an area to support the businesses that are there. The two letters that we got these from adjoining businesses. One is the 10 federal self-storage that's next door. That owner supports this development because this development will support the use of his business. The other is from a teacher at the Little People Daycare in favor of the project because it will positively impact her business in providing daycare adjoining the project. There was another question raised by transportation during the project, and I think it may have been mentioned at Planning Commission, about sidewalk along Angier Avenue. As I mentioned, there's a commercial development or commercially zoned property that's in front of this development, a couple other single-family homes at front on Angier Avenue that are not part of this project. There's a gap in the sidewalk because we're doing sidewalk as traditionally is done in front of your project, so we're doing those, Bonaventure is paying for that sidewalk. We were hesitant to do anything in front of the other property because we don't own that property, and if there's not enough right-of-way for the sidewalk, we don't have any way to get the property to do the sidewalk. If, I've talked with my client, they're willing to commit to building that sidewalk as an additional condition if there's sufficient right-of-way. If there's not sufficient right-of-way, we can't condemn, we can't do any of that, but we're willing to do it if there's enough right-of-way. And I don't know if Mike knows whether there is or not. Transportation would know whether there's sufficient right-of-way, but we will just say if there's sufficient right-of-way. Because we realize the importance of connectivity to the neighborhood. An additional thing I didn't mention earlier is we are doing additional pavement for a bike lane on Angier Avenue. Now, the other ends of that bike lane aren't completed, but we're completing our portion along Angier Avenue. I'm available to answer any questions you may have. I know that Mr. Highland is here available to answer any questions as developer. But I will tell you that Bonaventure is committed to the communities it's a part of. And this is a commitment to Durham to provide necessary housing, including affordable units. And again, they're in the process of another nearby project in this area to provide additional residential housing for the citizens of Durham and the region.
Thank you, Attorney Johnson. Mr. Highland, you've got some time to clock out. I don't know if you wanted to add anything. All right.
And I'm available to answer any questions you may have at this point, as is Mr. Highland if there's a question.
Colleagues, if you don't mind, I'm gonna query if this is a public hearing, if there's anyone, I don't have any cards from the clerk. Madam Clerk, is there anyone in the queue virtually who wishes to speak on this item? Nope, okay. Anyone in the chamber? This is a public hearing that wishes to speak on this item? All right, this time, I have a couple of questions, but I'm going to yield to my council colleagues who, the great thing about this council is most of your questions will get asked if you just let them talk.
That's fine. That's what I'm here for.
So, councilors, I'm sorry, Michael.
Thank you for entertaining. Two clarifying questions, or one clarifying point. There's no rezoning from CG. The future land use.
Oh, I'm sorry, I was wrong. It's a corner of that property, but it was zoned RSMD.
Yes, it's part of
a split zoned piece of property.
Yes,
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that little portion that he was referencing as CG was actually part of the underlying development RSMD portion, and it just happened to be part of a different property, but just that corner of that property. That's why we mentioned a portion of in my presentation. So I just want to make sure that's on the record. There's no rezoning from CG.
I didn't mean to mislead anyone.
It's okay. The second point of clarity is, and I didn't quite catch it, is the proffer to, if there's sufficient right of way to construct sidewalk along all the parcels along Angier from between your 2 points. And there's,
correct.
I believe I'm seeing
It's from, it'd be basically
5 parcels, I believe.
Right.
Okay, and we can get that wording down. There's wording that we have that transportation has used, so we can get that down. But I just want to make sure that's clear from along Angier between the 2 points.
Correct.
There. Okay, thank you.
Michael, thank you for that. I was going to ask you to capture, I don't know if the council queries might occasion any more. So I was going to ask you to kind of recap for us at the end.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for that. I probably still will. Colleagues, anyone? Councilmember Hyman.
Yes, thank you for your presentation. I just have two questions. I think you talked about the first phase in terms of the one-bedrooms and then kind of the spin down in terms of the new development. I just want to go on record to say that in that area, while I know people are going to be coming into that area, we need more than one bedrooms. So we need, and I know you said you're going to look at what's going on in the first phase, but I want to go on the record saying that we need more than one bedrooms because the families in the area that hopefully will be able to take advantage of this affordable housing would need more than one bedroom. And my other statement is, or question is, I see in the letter of support that we received that you will be donating to surrounding schools and parks and recreation. So what does that look like? Talk to me about donating how much, what does that look like?
The donation to the schools, I'll pull that up. $4,600 to the Durham Public Schools is the commitment.
Can be used at their discretion?
At their discretion.
Okay.
We did not, there are no strings attached on that.
And is that a one-time donation?
That's a one-time donation based upon, and we roughly based it upon what the impact was estimated to be on the Durham Public Schools.
Is there any consideration of more donation as that development area develops in terms of what, in terms of the renting and market being brought into that area? Just asking.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure over time, again, Bonaventure's a community partner, and I'm sure there will be more than enough opportunities to contribute to the community, whether it be schools or what it may be.
Yeah, I just don't want it to be a one-time deal.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Well, I understand, and it's typically not done because typically the view is that this, part of what you contribute through tax rate and whatever goes to funding the school system. But in this case, because that was raised at the Planning Commission meeting, we committed to making this one-time contribution.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Williams, were you?
I guess I look like I had a question. I'll go ahead and ask. Well, first of all, thank you. I read the Planning Commission comments, and I understood everything that I read there. Having conversations with a few community members, reading those comments, speaking with some of them, I appreciate that you made the proposition better. Because part of my priority in accepting these propositions is, are you going to be a block that is placed in a community, or are you going to sew yourself into being a part of the fabric of that community? And as excuse me, as we are, as far as our infrastructure is concerned, it's very fragmented throughout the city. And there are, with my fingers crossed and hopes high, we're working on something that will hopefully contribute to solving that, which I won't speak on right now. But I appreciate you all doing what you need to do to be a part of the fabric of the community there. That part of the city is evolving and it is changing. And we want to make sure that, we build our communities to, preserve the culture that we have, while also, everyone having access to a decent quality of life without pushing folks out. And right now, I understand that, we have a housing issue, we have an affordability crisis, and folks, we can't stop them from moving here, so we have to build at every level. If not, people are going to push down and push out and create gentrification. So just wanted to go on the record and say thank you for the actual hard percentage on the affordable units. I appreciate that. So this looks a lot better than what I believe it initially was with the Planning Commission. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Councilmember. Anyone else? Thank you, Council members. Mr. Johnson, thank you for the commitment of affordable units. in this project. The 10%, 521 units, is that correct?
Correct.
You're going to max out at 521? Will they be affordable in perpetuity?
Yeah, they're in accordance with the ordinance
It's what?
and the definition in the ordinance, which is in perpetuity. Well, no, I'm sorry, it's 30 years?
Minimum 30 years.
Minimum 30 years, I'm sorry.
Okay, great, absolutely.
That seems like a lifetime.
Yeah, it's minimum. I mean, you could say forever if you want.
Forever, right.
Thank
Well,
you.
we went with the definition that you established in your ordinance.
Absolutely, absolutely, got you. Thank you for that. The, aside from the affordable units, what's the anticipated price points for the other units there? I've seen 1,300, I've seen 1,500. I know it's an imperfect science.
Let me, Mr. Highland, to correct me, I think it's 1,300. It's a range, but it's because we got a range of units.
Sure.
And let me make sure I've got that.
It depends on the bedroom type, but it would start at 1,300 for a one-bedroom. I believe in that submarket, two bedrooms would start around 1,450 to 1,500, and then we had our three bedrooms starting at about 1,650. Obviously, it's a range depending on the day, sort of like airline prices. That's how apartments are priced now, but generally that's where it averages out to.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Mr. Johnson, to piggybacking off of Councilmember Hyman's earlier question, did I hear you correctly that you intend on mixing up the affordable units, that they won't all be, did I hear that correct?
Yes, correct, and that's in the commitment that we made in the condition, that we are going to provide, here they are, 6 one-bedroom, 19 two-bedroom, and 6 three-bedroom units in phase 1.
Okay.
And we also committed to dispersing those throughout different buildings, not to be distinguishable from the market rate units through location grouping, unit size, interior finishes, or exterior design. In phase 2, we left it open because, well, first of all, it's a phase 2, so when it's built, we don't know, and the mix, we just didn't know what that mix might be then, depending on what the market demand is, and wanted the flexibility to try to meet the affordable demand, just like we're meeting it for phase 1. But we heard the importance in talking to folks in the community, the importance of not, as Councilmember Hyman said, just a bunch of one-bedroom units, because there are families out there that need that housing.
Thank you for that. I drive that, I don't live far from that. I drive that area all the time. Went by there today. You obviously know there are older single-family homes. Some of them need a repair.
Right.
Lining the area, and one of the lessons I think it's important for us to take is that even good intentions sometimes may have unintended consequences. Extending sidewalks, putting the bus stop out there. What I want to keep, I guess, in mind on the radar is the and I think I saw somewhere in the report that we don't anticipate any impact on property values. Deleterious impacts on property values because that land is empty now and they're apartments. But the other stuff we do in the neighborhood could potentially start to impact the neighborhood. So I just want to, while I intend on supporting this development, keep an eye towards from lessons we've learned as a city and as a government, what some of the other impacts that these improvements can have. Even my bus, number 2, goes down that route. Even adding bus stops and sidewalks, which we need. Right. By the way, but I do want to, and I'm glad you mentioned I saw in the community goals report, and I had that you had minutes for 1 meeting, but it said 2 meetings. So I'm glad you mentioned the second meeting because one of my questions was going to be how many meetings, and to just assure those residents out there that we've learned the lessons from the past, and as we make things nicer. I think Brighton's right down the road. They're starting like 400,000. That we just be mindful and keep an eye on the lessons from the past. But I'm thankful for the inclusion of affordable units. I think developers around the country are starting to understand Durham values, and I congratulate you on that. And I intend to support this development in light of, keeping in mind all the other things I've said about watching what happens to our neighbors out there moving forward. Council members, any other questions? Councilmember Caballero.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you so much for your presentation. I spent about an hour out there driving the area this afternoon. I did not walk the property because once it gets warm, I worry about snakes and ticks. If it's been winter, I would have been tromping in those woods. And I think that a lot of the proffers that you're making are really good for the area. I was happy to see the stoplight at Ruritan and Angier because it is a little tricky when you're trying to go in and out. I'm glad about the neighborhood meetings. I had been I was struggling because of the Planning Commission vote, and knowing that some of our more recent rezonings have made those commitments for affordable units. I was looking at some of our older, we recently just passed the Carver Street assemblage, and that was one of the ones that I was thinking about that had provided actual units on the site. And so I'm really, really pleased to see that you've made that commitment. It is a substantial commitment. It certainly moves us in the right direction, and I think it does provide a mixture of housing type out there. There are some older single-family homes. You go down the road, there are already some other apartment complexes. And then right up the road, there's this brand new single-family neighborhood that the homes are starting in the low 400,000s. And that's not something I want to replicate too often in Durham. And I think a lot of us are really weary about large single-family homes that are very much beyond most people's reach. So I will be supporting this measure specifically because you did hear our concerns and you came back with something much, much better. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other council members? Councilmember Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. I'll just echo my colleagues and appreciate the additional proffers, especially for the affordable housing that you brought here tonight. I was not excited about this proposal until you started talking, and then it just got better and better. So thank you for making those changes. Those are all things that our community really needs, especially affordable housing. So we appreciate your commitment to providing those units for our community, and I will also be supporting this rezoning tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilmember Johnson. This is a public hearing. Is there anyone else that wants to be heard on this matter? Madam Clerk, anyone in the queue? All right, I'm going to declare this public hearing closed. This matter is back before the council. Once again, any other questions or comments from council members? Michael, you have everything you need? Have we captured everything and codified everything?
I'm coming. Hold on. Yes, I believe there wasn't any other additional commitments besides I'll take that back. The only additional commitment that was added tonight besides the affordable housing units was the sidewalk one, and that would, just for clarity, it will be along 4 parcels along Angier Avenue. I don't have the PID numbers, but it's the Mendoza, Gonzalez, Banda, and Poplar Guy LLC properties.
Right. Provided the right-of-way is, how do we codify that?
Assuming there's enough right-of-way to accommodate the sidewalk.
Okay.
So if there's not, then they would not do it.
And we'll work with staff to word that correctly, but
yes,
that's
there's standard language that we will use.
Right.
All right. Thanks so much for that. Colleagues, there are 3 motions required in this matter. The first motion is to adopt an ordinance annexing Angier Avenue Apartments into the city of Durham, effective June 30th, 2022, and to authorize the city manager to enter into a utility extension agreement with Kelly Development Company, LLC.
Moved as read.
Second.
I heard a motion from Councilmember Caballero and a second from Councilmember Williams. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Pro Tem Middleton.
I vote aye.
Councilmember Caballero.
Aye.
Councilmember Hyman.
Aye.
Councilmember Johnson.
Aye.
Councilmember Williams.
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion carries unanimously. Motion number 2 is to adopt an ordinance amending the Unified Development Ordinance by taking property out of the residential suburban multifamily with a development plan RSMD, Falls Jordan Lake Watershed Overlay District BFJB, county jurisdiction, and residential suburban 20, RS20, residential suburban multifamily with a development plan, RSMD, Falls Jordan Watershed Overlay District B, FJB, and establishing the same as residential suburban multifamily with a development plan, RSMD, Falls Jordan Watershed Overlay District, BFJB, city jurisdiction.
So moved.
Second.
Easy for you to say. All right. Hear a motion from Councilmember Johnson and a second from, I think, Councilmember Williams. All right, Madam Clerk, would you please call a roll?
Mayor Pro Tem Middleton,
I vote aye.
Councilmember Caballero,
Aye.
Councilmember Hyman,
Aye.
Councilmember Johnson,
Aye.
Councilmember Williams.
Aye.
Thank you.
And the third motion is to adopt a consistency statement as required by NCGS 160D-605.
So moved.
Second.
I heard a motion from Councilmember Williams and a second from Councilmember Caballero. Madam Clerk, would you please call a roll?
Mayor Pro Tem Middleton,
I vote aye.
Councilmember Caballero,
Aye.
Councilmember Hyman,
Aye.
Councilmember Johnson,
Aye.
Councilmember Williams.
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion carries unanimously. Gentlemen, thank you. Congratulations. Do good work for us.
Mayor Pro Tem,
Yes, sir.
can I ask a quick question to staff, please? Staff, just stating on the record, where can the public find the acronyms for the language here? Where can the
I'm sorry, the acronyms for what particular acronyms were you referring to?
the language we're speaking that we're reading here?
The zoning districts? They're all, we write them out and we write them out completely within the staff reports, and they're also written out completely within the ordinances themselves. And if they also have any questions, they can contact our Development Services Center, and we have staff that can explain zoning designations to anyone who calls or emails.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Always good to have the teacher in you show up. General business item number 22, and I believe this is our last matter for the evening, FY 2023 stormwater rates. We received a presentation on this at our May 5th City Council work session. Purpose now is to conduct a public hearing and receive public comment on this proposed FY 2023 stormwater rates. I'm going to declare, well, I'm sorry, let's hear from the staff first.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem Middleton and Council. I'm Paul Wiebke with the Department of Public Works. This item proposes to raise stormwater rates for fiscal year 2023, effective July 1, 2022. The public hearing was noticed in accordance with the state and local requirements. The proposed monthly increase for residential customers would be 45 cents for Tier 1 residential customers at a proposed rate of $4.20 per month. 94 cents for Tier 2 residential customers at a proposed rate of $88.70 per month, and $1.87 for Tier 3 residential customers at a proposed rate of $17.42 per month. The proposed monthly increase for other residential and non-residential customers is 94 cents per 2,400 square feet of impervious surface at a rate of $8.70 per month. There are two motions that the administration recommends that the City Council approve. The first is to conduct a public hearing to receive public comment on the proposed fiscal year 2023 stormwater rates, and two, to adopt an ordinance to change the fee schedule, revising the stormwater rates effective on July 1, 2022. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Good evening. Good to see you. I'm going to declare this public hearing now open. Before I go to the public, I'm going to ask, are there any questions from members of the council? All right, Madam Clerk, I didn't receive any cards for this item. Do we have anyone in the virtual queue?
No, sir.
Anyone in the chamber wishing to speak on this item? This is a public hearing. All right, with that, I'm going to declare this public hearing closed and the matter is back before the council. Once again, council members, any questions or comments about this matter? All right, this matter, well, we've dispensed of the presentation at the work session. We've conducted a public hearing, a robust public hearing. The only thing left now is to adopt an ordinance to change the fee schedule, revising stormwater rates effective on July 1st, 2022, and I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion from Councilmember Williams and a second from Councilmember Caballero. Madam Clerk, would you please call a roll?
Mayor Pro Tem Middleton,
I vote aye.
Councilmember Caballero,
Aye.
Councilmember Hyman,
Aye.
Councilmember Johnson,
Aye.
and Councilmember Williams.
Aye.
Thank you.
Honorable colleagues, by my reckoning, that is the final matter to come before us this evening. If there are no other matters, I want to again take a point of personal privilege by welcoming Councilmember Hyman, and thank you for the great job tonight, for being with us, and congratulations to you again. With that being said, it is 8:53 p.m. Gavel is down. This meeting is adjourned. Good evening. May God bless Durham.